I know, because it takes so long. I don't know why it takes so long for this thing to kick on. I'm trying to see it. Are we here? I don't know. Whatever. Let's
find out.
The vortex motifs.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We're live.
We're live.
Yeah.
Do you want to hit that theme song?
Yeah. Oh.
We're gonna listen to somebody else's podcast.
Well, that was actually us. That was Click Inception.
The multiverse.
Yeah, I'm working.
Catchy.
It's as catchy as it gets.
Oh my God. So
Our
catchy.
friends, Astrologer. Hey everybody, welcome to Click Vortex. We're in a different zone with a different person.
Look at us.
Mary P. from
Yay.
Zia Records.
Thank you
Mary,
for having me. This
so
is fun.
thank you for answering a last minute call to talk about a subject that I know you loathe to discuss, the Beatles.
Yeah, it took me a whole
You
like
hate
5 minutes to get back
Hate
to
it.
it.
You're like,
Yeah,
I
yesterday
can't.
I was like, we have to talk about the Beatles. Oh, there's an All right, cool. So we're officially live. I was like, yeah, we have to talk to the Beatles.
Yay.
Oh,
Talk about the
right.
Beatles.
It's the best. This is our favorite part of having the comments, Mary, is that we'll stop doing whatever we're doing to acknowledge comments.
Yeah.
So it'll be like, so let me tell you, the reason you're listening to this podcast is because we're going, oh, look, Bob VP says, hey.
We're just so excited when someone chimes in, even if it's the same three people over and over again.
Yeah, we got Loot the Body. I'm hoping for Loot the Body. That's my,
Yeah, we have some really
Loot
cool.
the Body's my hero at
we
this
have some
point.
really cool people.
I've been listening, obviously, since the beginning, and I'm like, is it Luke the body or
Loot, I think it's loot the
Loot.
body.
Loot.
Yeah.
the body?
Yeah,
I get it now.
you
makes more sense.
rob.
I think is loot the. Oh, there's Tommy Casper. There we go.
Oh, yeah. I bought Interventions
Ooh.
at Zia
Aw.
on release day.
Mary was there.
I was there.
She
you
was
were there.
I was there. I was definitely there.
I wasn't there, and I bought it at
Well, I was there on
Hoodlums, I'm
release
sorry.
night.
Yeah, it was a midnight thing.
But you were probably there release day. You probably pulled a 12, 14-hour
Yeah.
shift that day.
Yeah, I blocked it out.
It was a late one. It was a late one.
Yowzers. Well, hi, Tommy. Welcome.
20 years
welcome.
ago.
Welcome to the.
Last
yeah,
month.
it's 20. When you posted that stuff,
Oh my goodness.
one, it made me think that you both format guys kind of look like the same guys.
Oh,
You
that's
look,
nice.
Oh, yeah.
look the same. You look great.
Yeah. You've taken very good care of yourself.
And I didn't.
Not really.
And I really didn't
Not
like
quite.
the number of decades that it had been, because that implied that I was also 20 years older than.
Yeah, I remember.
I was
remember
then.
when the Weezer Blue album turned 20. I thought I was like the oldest person on earth. and then I made an album that turned 20, and now I have another one coming out. Or
Oh, look at
turning
that,
20 soon.
Mary!
I got a droopy mic as
Miranda,
usual.
Miranda, Decoy in the house, guys. Thanks so much for being here.
Got the whole crew.
We're talking about a frequent click subject. We're talking about the Beatles. We needed to
can't get
look.
enough.
We needed to look studious. That's why we set up in front of the bookshelf.
It's great. It's
Uh,
great.
Last night I was listening to the Beatles, and I was like, "Am I sick of them?"
And the answer was no.
For like 2 seconds, I was like, "Yes," and then I went to a different song, and then I realized, no, I just still hate Paul.
We maybe at some point maybe at some point I'll stand up and we can pan over and look at the wall of Beatles.
Wall of Paul.
The Wall of Paul.
That's pretty impressive.
Steve Keen's Beatles, mini renditions of the Beatles. But for whatever reason,
We're still talking about this band.
they've had a big 2023. They're these young up and comers, the Beatles.
I wonder if they'll win Best New Artist this year.
It would be unfair if the Beatles just win all the awards.
We looked it up once, I think, right? Didn't we talk about how they barely have any Grammys?
I was going to say they don't
It's like
really
a
have
very-
any.
Or maybe they don't have any.
If anything, I would think it round the anthology.
Yeah, I
for
know
Right.
they've been
best
nominated.
packaging
Even
or-
like the amount of nominations was kind of surprising when I looked it up. I don't remember. I have no actual real data. But
I think Hey Jude was nominated.
yeah,
for
that sounds
best
right.
song,
They're
and
like,
then
oh, on the way out, we'll give them one, maybe.
Yeah,
And now
pretty
we
much.
won't. Let's give it to someone else.
Well, so it was 2021 that Get Back came out, right? Yeah. It was like December of 21.
Yeah.
Peter Jackson has finally given us for a long time people were saying there's like an extended cut of it because it's 8 hours long or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I was gonna say 9, but yeah,
Yeah.
8 hours.
but I guess there's somehow number 9.
Yeah, how can
number
it not be 9?
But
It's Jason's favorite number.
it is my favorite number. But apparently there's like an even longer cut, and so people were like, "We'd like to see that." And Peter Jackson was like, "Okay, I'm not going to show you that, but what if I made a really weird video for this new Beatles
I heard
song?"
there's a 9-hour version of that video too.
And it's all just John conducting the strings.
Yeah, it's all just
For
Ringo
9
being Ringo.
Yeah, Ringo. Ringo looks like he just wrapped up.
Like a Pilates.
I was gonna say like he just wrapped up like
A game of pickleball?
doing a Jamba Juice run for his wife and some of her friends or whatever. He's just like, oh yeah, I walked in and then Paul was filming a video and I thought I'll get in on this, you know.
Ringo, I gotta say, Ringo looks pretty good.
He does. I think it's the leather pants. I'm convinced
it's gotta be
it's
the
like
leather
a
pants.
preservative.
He's
and
very
it's like a body
thin.
wrap.
He's so thin.
You know, he does look good, and the thing that always gets me is just he's maintained that hair color so consistently, and it looks real and normal and not
think it is
strange.
real.
Yeah.
I think at this point it's taken.
He got it perma. He got it perma did.
He got it tattooed.
It's kind of amazing to think about how much the Beatles' hair has continued to be talked about.
You
since
know?
from
Yeah.
the beginning
I
till
know.
now. So
Well, the very first thing I thought about watching the new video was look at George rocking a man bun
Yeah.
top knot in 1995.
They were all looking pretty killer in '95 in that. Was it '95? Yeah, it was '95.
Yeah.
95 in the
Yeah.
anthology era.
I love them sitting around in the grass.
Didn't Paul have like a denim vest or something?
When I showed it to my buddy Kevin, shout out to Kevin who's not in the chat. So I
Real
wonder how
cool,
I
Kevin.
wonder how
Cool.
cool of a friend he actually is. When he was like, "Why does Paul look older in the 1995 footage than he does now?" And it's a thing that we think about like these stars. It is kind of nuts that the Beatles are still that we're still talking about the Beatles.
Yeah.
As much. This is like an unparalleled pop culture phenomenon. It didn't happen where in 1960s they were talking about the music that came out
Well,
in
especially because they broke up.
1905 or
Because
whatever.
they broke
well, yeah,
up like
sure.
50 something years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that
For a
makes it
decade.
even weirder because a lot of those other bands are still somehow playing or at least
It's the Beatles and the
Performing
Rolling
in some
Stones in
capacity.
2023. Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
the Stones still like a normal band or whatever, which is nuts. But yeah.
normal.
Yeah,
Normal.
what's normal?
But we're here to talk about the Beatles, not the Stones. So, I mean, do you guys think we should start off by talking about the new song?
I didn't do that. Sorry. I'm sorry, Beatles.
YouTube is
Excuse
about
me.
YouTube's about
Excuse me,
to
Lenono Productions.
Ferris walks in. Hey.
That was accidental. Okay, it was accidental.
I think
I
that we
accidentally
might
hit play on my Spotify.
we might be able to play that much. Hey y'all. Wait.
We got
Decoy
we got
says
Ma'am, we got Anita.
JK. Okay, I was making sure that I didn't miss like a great joke from Decoy. But yeah, we're probably not going to play too many clips. We'll just be riffing off of our dome about Beatles stuff. But yeah, the new song. What's the deal with it? It had been in the works for a while, right?
Yeah, you could hear it for. It's been out in the wild because I think even the. I think there was even a leaked version of what they had worked on in '95 that's been floating around.
I
out
was
there.
curious. You were going to be the only one I know that might have heard it because I never heard any like.
Unless it was
secret
fake. I
demo.
heard it on YouTube at some point in time. I've definitely heard the demo. The original demo is terrible.
Yeah.
And there's
There's like a bad
like a
tape.
TV on or something like
It's
that.
like a tape buzzing. So you just
Okay.
hear this like. It's kind of like that UFO show from Tucson that you were showing me has that weird public access like tape buzz. It's from his cassette recorder, I think, that he was using. So it had like that warble, which you can still sort of hear on the take they use, but
Yeah, it's something like a 60 megahertz buzz. That's
yeah.
yeah, and they tried
that
to get rid of
overtook
it
it.
in '95 with Jeff Lynne did some wizardry, but then
Jeff Lynne was like, "Do you think it would go away if we layered 7 12-string guitars strumming the same chord progression over it?" And they're like, "I don't think so, Jeff." And he's like, "Well, that's all I've got for
what
engineering."
if I
to
tune
tr-
them
tr-
all to this exact frequency?
Yeah, yeah.
didn't work.
George ultimately put the kibosh on that one.
Yeah, I think if I remember right, he referred to the song as rubbish or something along those lines.
Effing rubbish.
Yeah.
Effing rubbish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
typical George. So
There's Tim. We got Tim.
We got Tim.
DJ Johnny Volume.
who's
Mary
Mr.
Lou.
Cave Spring? Listen to
Mr.
the
Cave
birds.
Spring is welcome to the chat, Mr. Cave Spring, and I hope you're listening to the birds because you watched the hour plus Spindle deep dive on the birds yesterday.
Yes, we were just
It's a very
remembering how
classic
much
rock.
The birds or the Beatles ripped off the birds.
We were discussing a little
Vice versa.
a little crossover between birds and Velvet Underground and Beatles in terms of those
Yes.
chimey chords. But no, yeah, it's a very classic rock week so far here on Wastoids with the birds and the Beatles. You're listening to KCLX. No, KSLX. Damn it.
KSLX, KCRW,
KC
KSLX. Is that still around? KCLX?
KCLX.
But now
I have
it's
no idea.
If it is, but now it's just like Pearl Jam and Nirvana and stuff, and that's the new classic rock, I guess, probably.
Was
There's-
that the KDKB was?
That was a 98.8.
KDKB
That
rocks
was like the
Arizona.
metal.
No,
It was
that's
like the metal hard rock.
KUPD.
Oh, yeah, KUPD.
Yeah.
What was KDKB?
That-
KDKB is 93.3 now.
Oh,
Now
that's
it's
right.
Alt
Oh,
AZ.
Alt AZ,
It's all the
yeah,
Alt
that's
AZ
right, yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went on
Remember
one of
what-
their podcasts.
Remember Y95?
Oh yes.
I don't know
Yes.
Y95.
They had the
Y95 was
coolest
the
logo.
coolest. Yeah.
I want to
it's-
find a Y95 shirt.
and make it into a keychain too, because
Yeah.
it's like a yellow and pink.
Oh.
It's
or
like that
red.
Hello bubble font, too. It's the
Ooh,
same.
I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I like
very
that.
cool. Very yellow and cool.
And when I was a kid, we used to do that thing. I grew up in Pine Top, so when it snowed in the winter, we could record. We could get Y95 all the way up
Oh,
there.
nice.
Oh,
And so I'd,
cool.
like just wait for Rob Bass to come on and then hit record.
Love Rob Bass.
That's great.
Thanks, too.
Sorry, tangent.
No, the tangents are more than allowed here on our all new bookshelf edition of Click Vortex. But yeah, so the new single it was called
I
Now.
brought props, and then so did Mary. Mary, what variant did you bring?
This is the indie one, the indie stores.
Okay,
So this
well-
was Beatles D2C. And,
This one's
or
mine.
The one
Yeah, so
that
this
I
might
brought,
be
yeah.
different than yours. I got the blue marble.
Ooh,
I don't know if you probably
Pretty.
can't see that with the lights, but
yeah, that's
Should-
throw
yeah.
it into the vortex.
Yeah, throw it at the camera.
I did. This is something that I do actually like about it. It has Apple on one side.
Oh,
It's got Parlophone on the other side.
Oh,
That's
that
a
is
nice
cool.
So that's
touch.
pretty cool.
I really like that it's Love Me Do and Now and Then. I think that was a nice touch to do.
What do you think about the mix of Love Me Do here?
It's
Let's talk some trash.
It's louder. I'll say that.
Lots of reverb.
Yeah.
There was already
Yeah.
quite a bit, but
Yeah.
there's even more.
The volume is a little high for me because I like a little
It's-
bit more organic, I guess.
I do
or-
like the back cover. So there's like this cool picture of a clock.
Oh, I hadn't seen the back cover.
Yeah.
That is cool. Now and then.
And
yeah.
that who did that piece? It's like a
It says
Olivia
I looked it up, and this was a
Harrison
painting
related?
too, which I didn't know. I kind of wondered what this. Speaking of denim, I thought this was maybe just a close-up shot of Paul's vest from 1995.
It
But
is
it's
a slightly the cover struck me as underwhelming at first. Like I was like, this is it. But just like the song itself, the more I lived with it, the more I liked it. It's both the cover and the
The
and
cover was a
song.
painting by Ed Ruscha.
Oh,
And
Ed.
the-
Okay, yeah.
The clock art's from Chris Griffin, and the clock photograph is by Rick Guest.
okay.
That makes me feel better. The fact that it's an Ed Ruscha is nuts because I
It
saw
makes me
so
feel
many,
better that you know who that is.
I saw so many people on Twitter just like dunking on it, but I think they just assumed that like
It was Paul's vest.
that Paul was like, AI, make me a cover that says Now and Then.
No, it's the cover's actually grown on me a little bit.
It
too.
is. It's great. As has the song. Like I said, when I first heard it, I was like a little bit like underwhelmed at first because it's like, you know, think about the Beatles. There's Eleanor Rigby, but then there's also just like, I don't know, Octopus's Garden or whatever. It's
Right.
like
Right.
not every like the it's a new Beatles song, and what's gonna come into your head is gonna be unbelievable, but not real.
Well, yeah, I think expectation management is
Yeah,
the key
it's
here
really
because,
important.
I mean, all of us know how many demos there were out there, and we feel like we've heard everything. I didn't
Yeah.
expect to get an Eleanor Rigby.
No,
or
for
a
sure.
Hey Jude.
I listened
figured it was
to.
gonna be.
Have you heard the Dakota demos? That's like a really cool bootleg I found.
Is
couple
That's
weeks
just
ago.
John by himself.
It's where this came from. It's where
Right.
Free as a Bird and Real Love came from. So there's a few takes of those, and then there's some some other cool, like random stuff that you hear later and John solo stuff. But
Yeah.
it's all just the cassette recordings that he did, and from the Dakota building in 75 to 80.
Yeah.
It's really good.
This is 77, right? For
I think so.
Now and Then?
Yeah.
So again, it's just like a little gift from the other world.
Yeah.
That's how I didn't really have many expectations, and I didn't know about it until about an hour. I got a text, I don't know, the Friday before it came out. I got a text at like 6 a.m. from my friend Gary, who you know, at Record Store Day, and said,
Yeah.
you're gonna want to be on this call in about an hour. Promise me to be there. You're gonna love it. And so I wake up, see that, look at my email, see that there's a new Beatles thing coming out, and so we get on this call, and Capitol Records does a full presentation for us with all the record store folks, and it was really fun.
That's cool.
That
it was
is
really nice of
awesome.
them. Yeah, it was kind of like
Thanks
a
for inviting us.
surprise. I did think of you guys.
Capitol. What do we got to do to get in on
Yeah,
there?
you should get on that list. So they did the whole presentation, then they played us the film, the 12-minute film with the video at
Oh,
the
cool.
end.
Yeah, that's great.
And it was, for me, it was emotional.
Yeah.
Couldn't deny my emotion connected to it. And I was a little wary because I was like, oh, everybody's talking about AI. And of course, people can talk about AI for hours and hours and opinions and blah, blah, blahs. But I'm like, isn't it just called engineering when we talk about music?
Yeah.
But anyway, it was really good presentation. I thought it was well delivered, which made it a little bit better for me.
That's awesome.
And the emotion that hit me, I was like, okay, this is just, like I said, kind of a gift from the other world, and this is really the last thing. Because, we've talked about this, how many reissues, how many Beatles things have you bought in your life, and how many
I just
times
bought more.
can
Yeah.
I just bought 2 more.
how many things can we be delivered that we're like, okay, we've kind of heard this already. So it was
Yeah.
nice to get something actually new to me.
They're going to
I didn't
start
know about.
remastering like Love and stuff like that. They're like, it's the 20th anniversary of Love
Now that's gonna. I'm jumping off a bridge when that
with
happens.
with the new remixes by Danger Mouse or I don't know.
That would actually be cool.
Yeah, actually,
Yes,
I would say I think there probably will be so much more Beatles stuff because what I started thinking about, especially with this new song, what it put me in the mind of was realizing that in some way there's very few things that most people agree on. There's like very few things that we can kind of all get around. And I think that's why when Get Back came out, it was so cool because everybody's watching this movie. Everybody is at home.
I even got Anita to watch it.
Everybody's with their family
Yeah.
and like, grandparents and parents and those kids are all watching the same thing. So it's like the Beatles are one of the relatively few things that it seems like people can agree on. And in that way, I feel like there's a religious component to the Beatles these days. They are the music of like our of I guess the last generation in a way, but in this way that people still just can't get enough of it. And the more I listen to it, first off, you brought up the AI stuff, which is important to talk about because most people I think have like most things on the internet, they've read like half of one article about something.
Right.
But it's not like they went to OpenAI or whatever and Paul was like, generate
Make
a
a John
song
song.
of John singing.
Yeah.
It's not that. They were using the same technology that allowed them to rescue a lot of audio from Get Back.
Yeah.
Or similar technology was used in the Woodstock restoration box set a couple years ago, where they can use this machine learning to fill out all those frequencies and isolate other frequencies, the nasty, gnarly ones. But
The buzz.
the thing that struck me the second I heard it was like, it doesn't sound like they tried to.
Make it sound better. Smooth it out.
No,
Yeah.
like it you can tell it's a tape. It has a ghostly quality. It feels like
Yeah.
far away in that like
See, I actually was
spooky-
not.
Yeah.
I was actually not pumped on that.
No,
No.
did it ever come around for you, or do you still kind of not love
No, I
it?
still don't really like it. I mean,
Yeah.
no, I know the song I like. I just don't. My biggest problems with the song are just the production.
If
elements
I
of
remember
it.
right, I think you said Paul did John dirty.
Yes.
Is the way you put it.
Yes, he did John dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think because it came from the same exact tape recorder as Real Love and Free as a Bird. Those are very warbly and have the same ghost elements.
Right.
And I think the fact that they very intentionally cleaned everything else up and did a lot more to make it sound cool and did all these cool strings, the production is lacking because they made it too modern.
Yeah.
So like they
Yeah.
did this whole crazy like I Am the Walrus string section, but then it's just buried in the mix like a modern mix would be.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Which kind of sucks.
what were those like? It's like a ditto machine versus a scanned copy.
Yeah, I was saying
you know?
yesterday, actually, speaking of AI, I actually can't wait for someone to run this. If someone out there has this, do this. Run this through some sort of AI thing to make it sound like an old Beatles song. I think it's going to be a lot better.
I did
That's
see
not a bad idea.
there's like a
It's
YouTube
trip.
crew. This is one of those things where immediately upon talking is like, boy, it'd be helpful if I had this clip ready to
Yeah.
show you guys. But anyway, it would also be helpful if I remembered who they were
Or what you were gonna say at
or what
all.
I was going to say at all. Moving on. No, they did like now and then as if it were like 1964.
Oh,
or
really?
whatever.
So they already did that.
Yeah, but they didn't AI it. They just performed it.
Oh,
Like
okay, so it sucks then.
it
No,
didn't
well,
it,
did
it
it
didn't
feel-
suck, but it was it felt kind of cool. Like you could hear like I think they do like now and then I miss you like a lot more like less of
To
a
chop it up.
they don't do it so mopey. It is kind of a moper. It's
Yeah,
but
I
I
mean-
mean that's okay. You know, I like that.
It's
side of
cool.
it.
I wish they would have, because I mean, John pretty clearly liked the slapback effect on his vocal. He put it on
Seems-
pretty much
yeah.
everything after Revolution, and so it's like could have put that on there.
That's
Right.
true.
He would
That's
have
true.
done that. He 100% would have done that, and it would have made that warble sound even cooler.
I agree. Big
Um,
time.
The strings were. I wish the strings were way louder. I wish that Paul. Is anyone else getting sick of besides Paul in general? Is anyone else getting sick of Paul's compression on his piano? Did anyone notice? Like the Paul McCartney, like the last 15 years, he set up a mic, and they're just like, "All right,
Yeah.
we'll just do that for the rest of time,
Right.
and it'll
It's-
always sound exactly like this."
yeah.
Yeah, the harmonies on top of it too is like if you've
That's the other thing.
that's the like he's right on top of it.
Yeah, it's like, dude, why are
so-
you not doing? That's the thing I realized about Paul recently. Actually, maybe he just can't do it because he's 150 years old now. But
Yeah.
he also historically would have done a higher octave vocal behind John. Instead, he's doing his old man kind of
Yeah.
low octave thing he's been doing for however many years now. But I feel like he could have. It's like, dude, it's the last Beatles song. Belt it out. Live
Yeah,
a little.
You kind of have to be like, why don't you go back to the core and think about,
Yeah.
A lot of people always are like, they would have done this. Or that's the thing about being dead, I suppose, or gone.
Yeah.
Is everybody assumes what you're going to do, but you bring up a really good point. Go back to what John would have used or would have liked to use. Go back to that
because they did that
era,
for George.
you
Like
know?
Paul played George's guitar solo in that song, and he's like, "This is what George would have done." It's like, well, why are
Yeah.
you doing that for George, but you're not doing it for John? Like, what's your
That's-
deal, bro?
That's where my issue was.
Because
Yeah.
Paul's
was
like,
the playing a George solo, and I was like, "That's not George." Like it just felt weird. That
I
part felt
I
weirdest
thought
to
it.
me.
Jason was duped.
Yeah, I was duped. I thought I was like, it's so cool that George was able to cut that part in '95 or whatever, but all he had done were those just strums,
Yeah.
basically.
I was-
Like,
I was surprised to
That's a
see on these
stretch.
tracks on the credits today that he did backup vocals on it. Apparently,
Yeah.
I would go as far
I
as
don't
to
know where.
say where, yeah,
it
where,
says
like,
backing
Yeah.
vocals: John Lennon and Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr.
and they got Pete Best. To
I mean,
do
you
one
see
too.
Ringo Starr doing backup vocals in the video. He's going, no, or whatever.
Yeah, that's my problem with it. Is the George stuff seems like a stretch.
Sure.
Not as involved, which makes sense in hindsight, knowing the story. Of being like, hey, it's not my favorite track. This is
Yeah.
rubbish. Let's not do it. So he probably did a few little things. If anything, I would have assumed that the machine learning took more of the George stuff and did it, as opposed to the John stuff.
Yeah.
But
They named, and did you see they named their machine
Yes.
Mal, M-A-L, for
Aw.
Mal
for
Evans.
Mel Evans.
That's actually pretty great. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Nice little nod.
I also
Yeah.
do like that it says the Beatles version is by John, Paul, George, and Ringo. It's kind of
Aw,
cool.
that is.
Instead of the last names, that's new.
Yeah, it's the first just Lennon McCartney #1 in the UK.
Yeah.
It's all four of
Wow.
them, which is nice to see. And I love the Mal and also Hal,
So-
you know.
Yeah. So this song, yeah, exactly. So this song's charting, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been like a huge success.
Is it on Billboard? Has anyone seen that, or is it just the UK charts?
I just saw the UK charts, but I think It's got to be charting at least in the top 10, I would think.
I'm gonna look this up.
But
while
what
you
are
guys
charts?
Talk trash on Paul.
But the Mal and Hal thing too.
Well, yeah,
Love
that's
that.
great. And I mean, it's funny. I just saw on Twitter, because that's where I see TikToks.
It peaked at number
Definitely
one.
a
Or, I'm sorry, it
30-something
peaked at
year
number
old.
7
At 7 in
on
the U.S.
the U.S.
on the U.S.
Okay.
charts. I mean,
and 1 in the UK singles chart.
wow.
Yeah.
But
Pretty
they
good.
they just had what do you call it? Martin Scorsese was doing one of those little like 2 movies will appear and you have to tilt your head to
Oh,
like
yeah.
pick one. And his ultimate pick for like the best movie was 2001: Space Odyssey. So the Hal Mal computer thing. No, it's crazy. I mean, it's kind of nuts to think about the Beatles being at the absolute vanguard of pop technology when they were a band. You know, one of the first groups to really start mixing for stereo, one of the
Yeah.
first groups to really treat the studio like a instrument and all of that. So it's kind of cool that all these years later, they're still using basically cutting edge technology to make their art.
Yeah.
And the song, like I said, it's grown on me. The video, I strongly disliked. I did not find the
biggest
video.
pile of shit I've ever seen in
So,
my entire life, and I
I-
will never. It will never grow on me, and I will never say anything different than that. It's the worst, absolute worst thing I have ever seen and will ever see.
Peter Jackson's
It's
like,
worse
but
than-
wait, have you seen those Hobbit movies?
I mean, you have the like it. I guess that's my thing with this whole. I feel like, in a lot of ways, they phoned this in,
Yeah.
and it's so bizarre to me that they would do that. But then I guess it's like, I don't know, if you're the Beatles and you've been phoning it in and having the same conversations for the last 50 years, and
A fresh take would be nice.
it would be
right?
nice,
Like,
yeah. But it's just, I don't know.
Like,
It's
well,
just
I
kinda-
did-
I blame Paul always, usually.
You always will. You can.
Yeah, it's his fault.
I do like that there was one moment with the Yellow Submarine image where they're playing, the
Yeah.
I thought
the-
so
the
many parts of
TV
it
part.
were cool.
I
and
liked
could have been
that.
cool.
And I was like, why didn't they just do this the whole time? But,
Yeah.
because it's always weird with like segments of footage, although seeing George with the top bun.
I
pretty-
am glad
Yeah.
always
they
gonna
didn't
be
do like
nice
the
to see.
typical animation thing that they do for every single video for any old band. It's always just, they're always just like, I don't know, let's just do animation instead of making a real video for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much material too,
Yeah, it would have been cool if I like the cropping. I was telling Jason yesterday, I really like the cropping element, how they, kind of got them out and put them in places. That looked really great.
Yeah.
But splicing in the current Paul and Pilates Ringo was not
See, but you gotta understand.
not good.
And this is important to keep in mind. It took me. I had to watch it 7 or 8 times before I realized it. Some of the footage is them then. Some of it's now.
That's what I was
It
going to
took
say.
you 7 or 8
That's-
watches.
No, it's like they're beating you over
Yeah,
the
no.
head with this
No, I get-
concept that's so.
Yes, I
now.
get. Yes,
Yeah.
everybody
That was
gets
then.
everyone gets the.
No, but it feels
The
to me
pitch,
like
the
Paul.
elevator pitch.
It feels to me like Paul was like, you got to understand though. It's now and then.
Right.
Both at the same time.
Oh,
I wish that I just want to see footage from that Beatles cartoon, not the Yellow Submarine, but the
can see
actual
some of it on
cartoon.
YouTube.
You can see some of it on YouTube, and I don't know because the Beatles didn't like it. They didn't like the cartoon,
Right.
so it was like held up. But I don't know. At least some of the Beatles didn't like this new song as well. So maybe
Yeah.
eventually we'll see that. I want to see it. If it were up to me, I would have used the footage from that cartoon and created. I don't know,
I
but
mean, they could have
something.
done anything.
Yeah.
that's
They-
true. This is
like,
probably the richest
That's
band in the
it's
world.
Like they could have done anything.
Yeah.
Literally anything, and then they did that, and it's just like, what is happening right now?
I think it's that like processing the thing about it's the anthology too, right? Where it was mixture of old and new.
Yeah.
But like those 2 videos for Freeze a Bird or Real Love, those are good videos.
I like
you know?
those.
Yeah,
a lot.
I was
Everything
actually happy to see those.
flows, and I love the collage look, and it could have been a fan thing too.
Yeah.
It could
Mm-hmm.
have really leaned into the fans and the collages of X amount of years, but I guess Paul and Ringo and the guys are going to do what they want to do.
And Peter
show us
Jackson.
now.
Peter Jackson's into it. Peter Jackson out there really. I will say though that I hope that we get more. I mean, the Beatles are a very documented band. I think we've seen most everything, but I'm curious. I'm curious what else might be
To
out
me,
there.
it does feel like a true bookend. Like
Yeah.
if they do more than this, it's gonna feel pretty gross to me.
I was thinking,
in a
like,
way.
how could they not do more than this? But then I realized it's because
it.
there's 2 dead people.
That's it.
So
yeah.
they could only do this because George had man bunned himself all over this track in 95. But
Right.
There's nothing else. They didn't do another one.
Yeah.
Which sucks because going back and hearing all those Dakota tapes, there is a lot more. There's definitely more to pull from.
I think with that material, that's Sean Lennon.
Yeah.
Like don't let the guys do it. That was solo material. So let
That's
Sean
true.
do it.
Let Sean-
or let
yeah, that's true.
Somebody
That's a good
else,
point.
Well-
in that line.
Yeah.
We have
Sean's
enough
the
Beatles.
one.
I'm okay. I don't need any more Beatles, to be honest.
That's. I mean,
I'm happy with the 263 or whatever songs that I listen to constantly.
Well, so my one of my favorite shows. We've seen everything. The cow is milked.
Yes, the
true.
cow's milked.
Yeah.
Those nipples are raw.
Yeah. Welcome
capitalism.
to welcome
They're
to
udders, I guess.
welcome to Click Vortex. We're talking raw udders.
Yeah.
No, what I was gonna say is one of my
it's utterly fantastic.
utterly repulsive. No, what I was gonna say is I'm a huge fan of The Best Show with Tom Sharpling, and a couple months ago he was talking about how he went to. It wasn't the Dome in Las Vegas or the Orb or whatever it's called,
Sphere.
but it was something. It was a thing where they were doing an ABBA 3D,
Yeah.
projection thing, and he was like, the beauty of it is like you can do it anywhere that like people can sit or gather or get in a certain. That mic is drooped.
This mic is drooping.
It's a
Super droop.
droopy. That's a droop. It's part of the droop troop. But he was talking about it, and I would have, of course, thought like that sounds terrible. There's no way
Yeah.
that could be fun. There's no way that would be good. But he was like, honestly, probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen in
Really?
terms of just like he said the sound system was incredible, the rendering of the onstage vibe was incredible. You could walk around and it's like you're seeing them.
It's immersive.
It's immersive.
Yeah.
It sounded great, and he was like, I would go see it again. And it just made me wonder, how far are we from
That's probably
that experience?
Well, we had Love. Did you
Yeah.
ever see that? Did you see
I
that?
never actually went and saw Love. I like the record.
That record I listened to a lot, and I was just thinking, like, what if they do Love in the Sphere? Because I think
Yeah.
that would really amplify it.
But you never
who
saw
knows?
that show? Did you see it?
I didn't see it. No, it's
pretty good. I
mean,
saw
I've
it.
watched
Was it
clips and things, but I've
There's
listened.
a lot of rollerblading. But it was, it's pretty old. It was only supposed to be there for, I think it's still even there.
Yeah, at the Mirage.
But it's only supposed to be there for 5 years, but they just kept it
I
going.
love listening to that album because it's like a puzzle. When it first came out, it was just like, ooh, that's the layering and
Yeah,
just,
little
like, They
bits.
did this and this and this. Yeah.
was
cool
that
blending.
Like-
was that also Giles?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was like one of his first.
Now let's talk trash on Giles for a minute here.
Was
as
he-
we get into...
So he did number one as well, right? That number one collection
I think George Martin was
did that one.
still around for one. I
Okay.
think, and like,
I believe
but I
you're
think
right.
I think that's when Giles started helping.
Okay.
George was kind of on his way out, but was still around, I believe.
Yeah, because we have 95 for Anthology and then 97 or 98 for the ones.
I think it was a little later actually.
Yeah, it may have
I
been
think it
2000?
might have been
2000.
2000.
Okay.
But I think George
2000
Martin was
makes
still
sense.
around.
Yeah, George, all the way.
George is
Giles,
Giles is really, I listened to him. I sent it to Sam. I don't remember if it was this year or last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago,
It doesn't matter.
2020
George Martin was there. Actually, Giles had nothing to do with
with one. Okay,
or
but I
one-
think maybe
one.
he did
Yes.
Love. Love was like where he. I could be wrong that he got involved
be
around
right.
then. That we'll save. I could be wrong. I could be right for our public.
You may be right.
Our public,
Yes.
our public image.
The album was produced by George Martin and his son. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
Love where they started the
Yeah.
handoff, passing of the torch.
And I will be honest, I think Love is I think maybe I like Love, the Love approach, like a little more than I like the current approach of remastering. Like I kind of like a remix or a collage or a like create a new piece using these elements.
A bit of a mashup.
A bit of a mashup. I think I kind of find that a little more interesting than what they're doing now, which is sort of like make this sound like it was recorded yesterday in like a beautiful studio, but it's these old recordings, you know? And what I'd sent Sam was like a long conversation between Rick Rubin and Giles. And I found it interesting, and it seemed to me like he was saying like, we're not trying to like replace the old versions. We're just trying to update them for today's listener. And that almost feels like a impossible task, essentially, right? Like, isn't that why we like music? Because it doesn't have to change in order for us to appreciate it. Like, if I hear a song from 1984, I'm not like, what the heck? There's synths on this thing or whatever. You know, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, what does that even mean in that level? Like,
no, Giles.
I can understand a remaster. But
I mean, I get it. There's definitely some albums where I wish they were remixed today, just for certain elements. Like "I Don't Want to Grow Up" by Descendants is a really good example where there's just so much reverb on it. It's just so distracting. As you can tell, I'm not really a huge fan of reverb, but there's like an absurd amount of reverb on it, like an early '80s Southern California punk album. It's not really. Doesn't really make any sense.
One thing that's really funny is as much as you dislike reverb, I like it, but I completely agree with you.
I don't like it when it's just like, let's turn the reverb on and never turn it off.
Well, it's kind of like this year, the Replacements album Tim got remastered and remixed.
Yeah.
And they stripped back a lot of the super reverby gated drum sound.
Yeah.
And it immediately made that record sound more like gripping. It was like it sounded way more powerful.
Yes,
way more like
can just be way super distracting.
I think it ends up being distracting, which again is strange that there's so much on the new version of like Love Me Do and stuff, which I thought was like it was interesting to hear, but it's always one of those things where I was like, yeah, that was kind of interesting, but I don't think I would pick that version over the original versions or over any of
and
the.
And that's the stuff is like there already was reverb on Love Me Do, so it's like if you're gonna do a total remix, like
balance it out.
Yeah, it's like do something. What's the point of remixing something if you're not actually mixing it? Like that's most of this stuff, and we'll get into the compilation, the Red and Blue albums, in about 2 hours, but most of that stuff. Most of it was just ruined by Giles, and then the stuff that's actually cool is just so subtle and small, where it's like, oh, they just pulled up the stuff at the end of I'm the Walrus, or they just pulled up this weird thing that you know, like they pulled up the bass even more in Hey Bulldog, which seems crazy, but they did. But
it's incredible.
Yeah, and it's like, and I get it. It's like, yeah, that's like one of the coolest parts about that song, but also it kind of made it sound like crap, but anyway,
I did like I Am the Walrus, that 2023 version.
There's like three. I mean, I guess we could start talking about it now.
We can start.
And then just real quick, back to Replacements real quick. There was a really good interview I heard with Tommy Stinson talking about that album recently.
Oh,
on
awesome.
The Record Store Day podcast.
With Mr. Paul Myers.
Yeah, Paul Myers and him, obviously 2 steps away from Beatles with Paul Myers, but listen to that because Tommy talks about that production and the difference.
Yeah, I thought it was, and that's an example of like, it wasn't ever that I didn't like Tim because the way it was produced. I tend to like, you know, era specific production just fine. But I did want to say before we get into the Red and Blue, just Weezer albums, folks. That's what we're going to be talking about. Weezer, Red and Blue. No, I was just going to say, Giles, if you're listening and you want to defend yourself, just give us a ring, 1-877-WASTOIDS.
Or just take your dad's money and go home and call it a day. We'll get someone else. You're done.
Or I mean, just
You're
call.
done.
You know, and while we're at it, Sean Lennon, give us a ring.
Yes.
Danny Harrison, get in on this. Olivia,
Oh my God, Danny Harrison doing Beatles now. That's the dream. Right?
Ringo.
Yeah, let's get the kids in on this.
Yeah,
Really,
that's
let's
what
get the
I'm
kids in
saying.
on this.
Besides Giles, yeah.
Besides, not him, not him. I want Julian. I want John. I want who we got? We got Zach on drums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got Danny. Danny.
Uh-huh.
Is it Danny or Donnie? Because there's an H in there.
Danny.
It's Danny.
Yeah.
We got Zach, Danny, Sean,
James.
and James.
Yeah.
We got James.
I think it's all gonna
How have they never
rocket
done that?
man.
I mean, it's so cheesy, but it's like, come on. You can do that once.
I mean, you have to imagine one of the things that we did at Wastoids, we did like a thing with Olivia and Kifo Nilsson, Harry Nilsson's, two of
Yeah,
his
those
kids.
were great.
Those were so much fun.
Yeah.
And Sam and I were talking, and it was like, wow, it could be so interesting to do like a podcast that's just about the kids of these people,
Yeah.
because their stories, it's funny the way people tend to think they're not interesting because they're these people's kids, or like they're Nepo babies or anything like that.
Right.
I'm not saying that about Olivia and Kifo at all, but I think you end up realizing like, no, they have like a view of their parents' art that's very
Unique.
very unique.
Yeah.
And so
We saw
it's
that in Get Back.
oh yeah, exactly. Oh, exactly.
Seeing
I
children
forgot
playing
about the
chords
children.
and there's a lot
Yeah.
of kids
It's
everywhere.
cool. Yeah, it's definitely cool
Yeah.
if they're willing to talk about some of the more, not like personal stuff, but just
Just the
personal
more
elements. Things
yeah,
that it's
for
like,
sure.
We don't necessarily need to hear about the things the same old story you've been telling everybody in every interview.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the more obscure stuff is what we were looking for.
Yeah, that's why I was like so excited to find out that Harry took their mom to Watergate trials on their honeymoon,
Yeah.
stuff like that, where you're just like, what? You
Deep
know,
cuts.
it's like, you know,
Yeah,
deep
that
cuts.
was
And
pretty
I'm
weird.
sure that information was out there somewhere, you know, but like to hear her say it and to hear it have that personal touch, that was really cool. But anyway, so I could see the Beatles kids. I could see that happening.
Yeah, I hope so. That'd be really cool.
Does Sean ever do his dad's songs?
I've seen Sean do something. I feel like he just did something on acoustic guitar a couple years ago.
Mm.
So like Imagine maybe?
I would
Yeah.
think he would just do Beautiful Boy, because that would be like the most heartwarming thing ever, but
Yeah.
a full turnaround there.
I feel like he's done it.
But I don't
He
know.
did something
I
a
think
couple
that-
years ago. I remember him in like a sleeveless shirt looking super ripped and just like playing something really cool on.
Les Claypool's
Okay,
behind him.
Oh,
Yeah.
was it part of the Imagine thing with all these celebrities like
May-
next to that thing?
It was around that same time, but I don't remember
Yeah.
what song it was.
I mean,
I might just be making this up.
Sean's comments in the video, you know, kind of made me feel better about Now and Then in general
Yeah.
as well. So he seemed very on board in the way he delivered it and talked about it. You
Yeah,
know.
it's all endorsed by the kids. The kids are happy with it.
Yeah.
And
There's
and
got to
that's
be
what
some
I-
reason why they would be okay with it.
Well, it's what's really actually hilarious about this is as I was listening to these mixes of this gargantuan beast here, and also I'm gonna talk trash on this packaging too at some point.
Oh no.
But
I can't wait.
all the Paul songs sound terrible, and all the John songs sound great. And I think it's because Sean can still hear or something. I don't know. You know, but
Oh,
it's weird.
whoa.
All the really cool like the standouts on this for me on the blue side or the blue version, or you guys know what I'm saying.
Yes. Yes.
On the blue one, this guy right here.
For anyone that doesn't know, you can
This
give
is
him a
down at
101.
EMI.
1967
This is one
to
of my favorite
1970.
things. This was
Yep.
actually originally going to be the cover of Let It Be when it was called Get Back.
That'd be a great cover, actually.
And speaking of bookends, that would have been cool because this was the cover of their first album, Please
Oh,
Please Me. So
wow.
that's why they did it. What was I going to say?
Do you need a hand?
Yes, I do. These are very heavy.
Ooh,
Yeah, like
nice.
what were the new mix? The main ones were like I Am the Walrus, Revolution, and what were we just talking about?
Hey Bulldog.
Hey Bulldog,
Hey
thank you,
Bulldog.
man. I just like
Hey Bulldog was
sorry,
the
I just
one
passed
that-
out for like 30 seconds. And Hey Bulldog, those are the standout mixes for me for and there's only 5 or 6 actually 2023 mixes.
The rockers, essentially.
Yeah, and this, by the way, is my favorite press photo of all
I
time.
was just gonna say I almost forgot.
And you brought
looking at it
this,
again.
which is from the same photo shoot, the Mad Day Out. That's the famous last Beatles photo shoot.
So this is like right before they were getting ready to like not really talk to each other anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was their very last.
Taking a break.
Taking all the shots, and they got a bunch of really, really cool photos. And this one in
Yeah.
particular is very cool.
These kids are so
So I'm gonna talk trash on the packaging real quick, just because we have it out.
Can I see
Yes.
this? Here? Yeah.
This is a box set, okay? Like
Yeah.
this thing was like $200. I'm ashamed to admit that. This was like a $200 box set.
Yeah.
I actually don't have the originals. You brought
I brought
those, so we're
those.
gonna compare. But
Yeah.
I don't have the originals, so I was like, you know what? I never bought these, so I'm gonna buy them now.
Got 'em now. Yeah.
It'll be kind of fun, and it has, because it has all the mixes. But they phoning in again. It's like, dude, last crazy compilation. I mean, probably right. It's probably not actually, but
It's fast pressing.
yeah, it's just like there's such a cool opportunity to do like a really great, do some really great packaging here, and they made zero attempt. There's no, like, all they did on this. Speaking of doing it dirty, all they did on this on the red and the blue is they just added a horrible tint
sepia.
to
Uh-huh.
it, which is like one of my biggest pet peeves of all time is adding any kind of like tone to a black and white photo is like criminal to me.
Now the really cool thing about our camera is that these just basically look the same.
Yeah, they do pretty much look the same.
But
Yeah.
trust us, in
Trust us,
person,
they
they
look
look
like garb.
It's a
they
little
look very
sepia.
different. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was like, okay, well maybe, this is like a 17 record collection. Maybe there's like some really cool liner notes. No, there's not.
Oh,
There's just
it's a
like,
one sheet.
yeah, it's just a terrible, terrible one sheet. There's
And-
nothing here. There's no like, there could have been art. There could have been,
It's tiny print too. The boomers are gonna not be able to read
no
that
one can
at
read
all.
this. And it's like, this just looks
Yeah.
like Sergeant Pepper. I don't need
It
that. I
does
need
on the
something
red.
new.
So there's no golden ticket or anything in there.
No.
And it's already bowed once you opened it.
Yeah, and it's already bowed, and
like
it's
on the
I don't know.
opening.
And the vinyl's cool, I guess. I got the red.
Ooh, that's pretty.
A couple things. We gotta
trick.
chime in here. One, Anita said
Different
$200. Wow, happy anniversary, I guess.
Yes. Listen, I'm a Beatles fan, all right?
And then Tim said you could write it off for research.
Different glares.
Oh, I do.
We're
I do,
also-
believe me. I've been doing that for years.
We also have been
Sorry,
informed
IRS.
that you cannot see anything.
Oh, okay.
Good.
But trust us, guys, these are Beatles records we're looking at. We're not just passing these things around to trick you.
The other thing I think is so
glares.
weird is I was like, now and then's not even on here, which I thought it was weird that it was on here to begin with. But then when I got the box set, I was like, it's not, but it is. It's just out of order. So I was like, did they have to do that for?
You mean it's
I was very confused by that because I was
It's
trying
supposed to be the last track, and it should be the last track. Obviously, everything else is in order, but it's not. They threw it up here, kind of above black. It's like
It's the first track on side 3, which is like
this track order is so whack. I don't even know what's going on
Yeah.
because it's not even in chronological order like it's supposed to be. You have like, I don't know. I got a lot of problems with this.
yeah.
a lot
we'll
of problems
grab
with
the
this.
others and
Yeah.
do a little.
Wait,
'Cause
Mary,
they-
do you know why that is it because they had to
It
is
may
that
be
the
the
only one that had enough space on the
That's-
on the side?
It
That
may
would
have
be
been
my
because
only
of that,
guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
Spacing on the side. Final
But it's
side.
like it comes before the White Album,
Space per side. Yeah. See Tim's on it.
and then you get Hey Bulldog.
yeah.
Was Hey Bulldog between the White Album and Abbey Road? It wasn't, was it?
What's Yellow Submarine?
It's only
Yeah,
on
so
Yellow
why-
Submarine,
so
yeah.
What is Hey Bulldog doing all the way down here?
Maybe they put it in anthology order. That's the only other thing because you know how they
I
have
don't know.
the.
I got issues. I'm calling the Beatles hotline, and I'm gonna report my issues with this
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
and also just like, come on, this. What is this?
I mean,
What
It's
is this?
cheap, is
It's
what it
so
is, yeah.
cheap. It's so cheap. Yes, Tim says space per side. That's probably what it is. But
yeah.
I want answers, and I kind of want my money back.
But still, like, let me see the slipcase thing. Here,
Oh,
do you
this
want?
thing.
Yeah,
Just take it all.
I'll take it all.
Take it all,
Take
and then
it
I'll
all.
get Mary's originals, and I'll be very careful.
Let's get the Orig. Let's get the Orig going.
And I'll be very careful. I love the disclaimer.
We're getting some.
Nobody can see the blue. It's like
So,
black.
so yeah. To your point, though, this
These are
slipcase.
significantly cooler.
Well,
Here, I'll let you
they're
handle
lived
this.
in too, so
Yeah.
you can do it. Oh, I trust you.
Okay.
Do you want me to take?
You want to take these?
I'll take these.
You can open those babies. And then I'll
So what I immediately
take a
like about
peek.
this is that it doesn't say 2023 version on it. I don't think that was necessary. I think that could have been indicated somewhere else, maybe on the back. I think
Or on
they
the
should have
spine.
maintained the original cover instead of doing that, or done something slightly different.
It's very worn, as you can tell.
Yes, this is very worn. So I won't
It's
be as
lived in.
concerned about handling this one because it's a little beat up.
Yeah, that's like my kid.
Ringo
Oh.
got.
Yeah.
This one's
So-
got the tone too. I didn't even notice that.
Well.
Does
it's
it?
kind
That
of
looks
a-
more like just like black and white.
It's the bluish.
It's
but-
got,
I guess it
it
is
is a little
bluish.
bluish. So this just
a little
makes,
bluish.
This just makes that even worse. This means they did nothing to it. Because like I said, I never had the record versions of these. I only had the CDs, and the CD version, from
Yeah.
what I remember, was just black and white. I don't think they did this.
They just glossed it over for the new one.
Yeah, they just put a
Wow.
little-
And there's 1, 2, 3, 6 tracks on each side on the 3 and 4.
Yeah, so they
and-
added a ton of. That's the other thing. So they added a ton of songs on both of these.
All
If-
the mixes.
Like Taxman was never on this collection. There actually wasn't a single George Harrison song on either of these collections until the 2023 version, which is so weird.
That's,
Dang.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, no
great.
wonder
Like-
he went so hard
Well,
with
there's Here
All
Comes the
Things
Sun, I
Must
guess.
Pass.
Yeah, here
Wait.
comes the sun on the.
Okay,
on
so that was a
side
bad.
4.
I heard that on the Beatles channel on Sirius, and that's not even true because "Here Comes the Sun" is on here,
Do they mean? Does George sing "Here Come the
and "Old
Here
Brown
Comes
Shoes"
the
on
Sun"?
here too. Which, let's talk about that mix.
The old.
Talk about an opportunity. As you can tell, I'm very opinionated on this thing. "Old Brown Shoe" is notoriously one of the most terrible Beatles songs to a lot of people. I actually like it. I like "Old Brown Shoe." I like "Savoy Truffle."
Yeah.
I like "Inner Light." I like all the bad George songs. I love "Flying" from
I like
Magical Mystery Tour.
How
Savoy
is
Truffle
Old
a
Brown
lot too.
Shoe a bad song?
A lot of people like
how?
to hate on "Old Brown Shoe." Its mix is pretty bad. I think that's part of it. Is George Harrison? It sounds like George Harrison singing "Old Brown Shoe" from an old brown shoe. Like it sounds like he is in another room, like in like a replica of, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, but they just made it worse. They didn't, instead of actually fixing it, they made it actually worse. I wish we could play it right now. Actually, if we play "Old Brown Shoe," they probably won't strike us on that because it's so bad. They probably won't even.
YouTube
care.
has been pretty vicious
Let me
with
see
us
this record
lately.
Real quick. I just want to see when they.
Sam, you are very opinionated about this. Did you,
It was a birthday present from.
Yeah, that's from Julian.
Lennon?
Shout out to Julian. Yeah, it came directly from Julian
Nice.
Lennon. So nice. Look, readable. Even.
Yes, yes, and I like that
That's nice.
tone of blue better.
And
And I also like that it's
capital.
on matted paper. It's not glossy.
Yeah.
do we got the tint on that one?
You know, maybe what I heard is just that there was nothing from Revolver
Ah,
on here.
It is the
Which-
same picture, but the tint is
See, this tint is slightly less
it's
red.
darker, but
Yeah.
not as like glaringly red
How,
in the new one.
how cool is this picture? Seriously, I'm gonna just show it again.
do
If
you think
anybody
we
can
have
see
to? Here's what we'll do.
Go find it.
It really is. I remember being looking. I had this
Go
on
show.
cassette. Did you have the double cassette as well for
Y-
both the
I
red
did.
and the blue?
That's where I first heard it. Was
Yeah.
oh, it's just so dark you can't see anything.
Yeah.
We need some light.
We just play those cassettes over and over.
Yeah, so
and
that's my
over.
dad. That's how I heard most of these. Is my dad bought these cassettes at Smitty's
Yeah.
on the way to a trip. We were about to head out on a trip to Oklahoma. And I remember listening to the Ballad of John and Yoko and asking him as a stupid 8-year-old, "Dad, do you think that's Yoko singing backup vocals?"
Aw.
And I think he said maybe.
It's adorable, though. I remember my brother getting in a lot of trouble because he sang. He started
Why don't we
saying,
do it in the road?
He used to say. He used to start saying "Christ" to
Oh, yeah.
everything. He's like an 8-year-old.
Gonna
We're
crucify
like, what?
me.
It's Christ. We learned it in the Beatles song.
I'm surprised I was allowed to
Sounds-
listen to that song.
I see Tim's
Shout out to my parents. for-
Tim's
worried
comment.
about that.
No, I assume that was
like you can't
responding to no, you
Just
can't
no.
see anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, guys.
we tried.
We're
See it. Sorry,
using
guys, you're
an-
gonna have to go buy your own $200 copies of this.
we're using
stuff.
Or your $2 copies.
yeah.
Go find these.
I just
Tim will find you one at Zia.
They're lived in.
Tim
that's
also
for
works
sure.
at Zia, right? Tim still works at Zia. doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
Shout out to
wonder.
Tim. Yeah.
I just wonder if the the 2023 mixes. Like, do you think anybody's like, do you think any kid cares?
No. And we were talking about this a little bit yesterday. Like, a lot of the mixes that we grew up listening to were CD remasters.
That's true.
So they did sound different than like the original mono versions.
Yeah.
So, and we didn't care. And I'm actually, when I get mad about mixes, I'm comparing them to adjusted versions anyway.
Yeah.
So the same,
Yeah,
every
your-
generation's mix is going to be.
It's whatever your mile marker is, right? It's like, where does your first impression come from, and then how do you hear it after that?
Yeah. See, so I really like that you can't really hear the drums because I think that's what is so cool about Ringo is he's not really playing much anyway in a lot of tracks. And because you can't hear them in the way that you might hear like not even just a modern drummer, but like a more, like an actual drummer who is super opinionated about how his drums sound in a mix, like
Sure, Danny
like
Carey.
in Led Zeppelin or something, or that, or anybody who actually has who would be considered like a traditionally great drummer.
Dave Grohl. Okay.
Dave
Pretty
Grohl.
good.
Dave Grohl. Yeah. I guess the point is like I've often found myself thinking that drum parts were there that weren't actually there. You just hear them. That's what's so cool about Ringo is
implied.
there's like this ghost stuff that kind of happens because all these instruments bounce off each other and they create these weird tones. And when it kind of sounds like crap and it sounds sort of thin and all these things are buried and they had so many limitations with their tracking, especially before Sgt. Pepper, then you just get this really cool vibe. And so when they bring all that stuff out and they like pull up the drums and they pull up the bongos and like, I can't remember which song it is. Like they pulled the bongos up so hard on one of these songs from like Rubber Soul or something. This collection, I'm just like, dude, Ringo, go home. What are you doing?
Pull up the bongos.
Yeah,
I'm
pull up
with
the bongos.
Tim here. Only listen to the cassettes. That's my first red and blue. is
Yeah,
the cassettes.
and I
so-
have the cassette. I think Tim
that
actually
analog.
even got me the cassettes at Zia. He got
Aw.
me. He came across, somebody did. I think it was Tim. Tim, did you get me those? Came across a bunch of cassettes that came in on the trade-in counter, and I got
That's
all
a
those.
score.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking now about Ringo drumming for Tool because you mentioned Danny Carey, and I was like, what would Ringo? I know the pieces fit.
Oh, no.
I don't know. Anyway,
I would love to hear that. That's the kind of stuff I am actually excited to hear about. Hear from
AI?
AI is like just
Yeah.
being able to choose your own adventure with music, just
Yeah.
in such a
Yeah.
weird way. Yes, thank you, Tim. Tim also got me
Aw.
the Escher demos too.
what would
which-
it sound like if
Tim's looking out.
Melly Mel was in King Crimson or whatever? Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
it's like exactly. Like what would it sound like if John Lennon was singing, Waterloo Sunset?
Ooh.
I want to do that. It would be really cool to
Yeah.
just hear it. But also, I guess that's probably kind of messed up. But
Well, I mean, that's the difference, I think, with the language that we use. Paul McCartney saying artificial intelligence. He's the one that said AI.
Right.
If he would have said machine learning, people would have been like, what's machine learning?
yeah,
And it could have been a different conversation and an immediate, maybe a different opening. Or
well, because that was coming at a time where
expectation.
people were actually generating AI Beatles songs. Like that was a YouTube
Yeah.
thing too, where
Mm.
which actually it was good. Like people were taking solo Beatle tracks and turning them into Beatles songs with AI, and they were very good.
Yeah.
They were very, very good. I have to admit.
It's fun. It's like a weird brain jumble.
Yeah, and it's something that you get to listen to without paying $200. So that's
Yeah.
cool too.
That's
Yeah.
real money saver.
I think that we're it does feel like there's an end of an era element to this. Like and I think that maybe that's good in some ways because this now if we're talking next year about the other Beatles thing that they remastered and put out, I mean that's entirely possible.
We will be.
But I mean, the way I look at it is
What's it gonna be?
It's probably going to be a minute though, because they just finished the 50th for Abbey Road,
right.
and they did obviously like a third version of Let It Be, Get Back.
Yeah. So that's always
So what?
you know,
else
it's
could they do
funny.
For a while?
It's funny. Let It Be Naked. And now that I think about it, that was 2004, 2003.
Yeah, I looked it up too. By the way, one was 2000.
Okay.
Okay, one
November,
was
it was actually yesterday, 23 years ago.
wow.
Yesterday.
And it's funny because it was the anthology. No, it actually wasn't the anthology that I got really in on the Beatles with. It was the Yellow Submarine remaster. When they put out that, I had the CD and the VHS. That was like 98 or something like that.
Yeah, I think I mixed that up. So it's 95 for
Yeah.
Anthology, 98 for Yellow Submarine, then the ones in 2000.
And then Love, and then Let It Be Naked, and then the
Then it
new
was like
version
the-
of the White Album.
What was the box sets and stuff
The
in
box
between
set.
that? Like the Capitol.
Oh yeah, there were
box sets and
the
2009.
mono.
the
yeah.
past
box set, which I did not buy
Oh
the
yeah,
mono.
yeah. I didn't.
Yeah, they combined the past masters into one
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Now instead of the white and the black, which
Yeah.
I loved. I actually didn't like that. I like it split up.
Yeah.
But that
I had
just
those cassettes too.
Same.
it's been 25 years more than of just like Beatles consistently. So I do wonder if they'll
keep doing
if
more.
they'll hit pause or if they'll. I mean, I am a fan of so much of the solo stuff, the Beatles solo stuff. So I'm interested.
Well, Sean did a really cool vinyl reissue of all that stuff, all John's stuff.
Yeah,
And Ram got remastered or remixed and remastered and
And the
rebundled
Yoko-
with a bunch of demos and stuff.
all the Yoko stuff that Secretly Canadian has done, and like that's
I think that was through that was through
Sean.
Sean.
That's through
Chimera.
Chimera Music, yeah. Which is great, and so I love that all that stuff is happening. As for Mark's comment here, the Billy Preston keyboard solo on "Don't Let Me Down, Let It Be Naked."
What's up,
Oh, yeah,
Sard? Yeah, he's
absolutely.
It's the best.
He's right. And I was speaking of keyboard solos. The keyboard, I guess it's probably a Rhodes too. In Revolution, you can really hear that in this new mix, and that's Nikki
Nicky Hopkins.
Nikki Hopkins on that. Yeah,
That's
awesome.
yeah. That
The Let It Be Naked, I will say, is like one of my all-time favorite things. When
It's-
Let It Be Naked was released, it was like, oh, I had zero clue that was available, and
I got to go back. It's been a
it's
while since I've
probably my
listened to that,
favorite.
but it is great. Yeah,
my favorite reissue or a change of a.
it's got the
an
better
album
version of
ever.
Long and Winding Road. If you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah.
yeah. I am a fan of Phil Spector, his
You like
production.
the strings, like the crazy over the top strings.
I was just about to make it. I was going to say I'm not a big fan of Phil Spector's production. I like him a lot as a guy, as a
I like
human.
him a lot as a murderer.
I like him a lot as a murderer, but I'm not such a big fan of his production work. No, I
I'm
remember
gonna be leaving.
I remember that being like when Let It Be Naked came out, I was like, whoa, this sounds nuts. Like I knew the record and it was not one of my favorite Beatles records because of
It actually,
how gloopy. I mean,
I think it is actually my favorite Beatles record.
Let It Be
Yeah,
the Spectre version
Yeah.
even. Oh wow,
yeah, I think so.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
I will say that Let It Be Naked is better than that.
It probably is. I need to listen to it more, but
it's worth
I think
hearing.
Two of Us
yeah.
is the greatest Beatles song of all time. I'm going to say that too.
Oh, then you're gonna like Let It Be Naked better, I would
Yeah.
think. But
Yes, Mark.
It's just so hard
That's
for me.
exactly how it works. The non-Spectre version
Yes,
is
Phil
Let
is
It
Phil
Be
is
Naked.
gone on Let It Be.
that's Paul.
They kicked Phil right on out, and apparently John had been really annoyed at how gloopy Phil Spector made the record sound,
Yeah.
and that it was a little. No, actually, I'm totally wrong. It was Paul who was mad about it,
Because he was mostly
Yeah.
mad about Long and Winding Road.
Yeah.
Long and Winding Road, I think.
and yeah,
Let It Be Naked is Paul's way of being like,
This is how it's supposed to be.
that's a punch to Phil Spector.
it
in my
also
opinion.
it also
He-
seems like
he
it's like
needs
he's
a punch.
He does.
yeah.
Wait, did he die yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It also
From the
se-
grave.
Yeah, dig him up.
Dig up them bones.
I would say that it also seems like it was sort of like Get Back was supposed to be there. Like that's Paul's revisionist history
Oh, yeah.
too, right? Where he's like, our idea was let's cut a raw, rock and roll record and just like hang out and
I mean, I wish
they
instead
did
of
it.
it being called Let It Be Naked, though, it was just called Get Back, and they would have used the original cover and actually gone through with the.
that would have been
what they were gonna
cooler
do.
because Let It Be Naked always makes me a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
This makes Sam literally the number one Beatles fan to me. That statement alone. I mean, I already knew
That they should have
but
called it just
that.
Get Back. I mean, he's definitely right.
Like,
If you're
oh,
gonna
but-
go,
I could just see Paul like, what if we called it Let It Be Naked? And everyone was just like, okay, Paul.
okay, because it's naked now. Get it?
Get it? I'm naked.
Everyone was quiet for
The
like 30
strings?
seconds, and then he was like,
And then Ringo woke up. Yeah, I agree.
Let's phone Ringo. Yeah, Ringo's like, I don't care. Peace and love.
Ringo phoned in from the
Peace and love,
Celebrity
peace and love.
Theater. Hey, I'm here in
Yeah.
Arizona.
I'm with Todd Rundgren.
I'm with Todd Rundgren. We're about to do one of our all-star jams.
Wow. There's a lot of
A lot of terrible accents here. A lot of terrible impressions.
People keep saying, guys, do more accents on Click Vortex.
As
So
big
the
of a
comments,
Beatles
as you
fan
can
that I
see,
am,
the
you would think
comments are
I'd be a
full of
little
it.
bit better at my impressions. I'm not.
I had a really good Pete Best, but nobody.
Oh.
Is it just like silence? Is it crying in a corner?
Do you think? Yeah, I think that's he's
Remember
still
Pete
he's
Best
still
used
alive,
to go on
right?
like Phil Donahue and talk about the Beatles. You ever seen any of those clips?
Mm-hmm.
He was like tough guy smoking cigarettes. Pete Best somehow turned into like a New Yorker in the 80s. I don't know what happened
Well,
to that guy.
he retained the leather jacket.
Yeah, he
era
retained the
of-
Hamburg lifestyle.
Silver Beatles,
Yeah.
leather jacket, but kind of thing. And going on
Jason, do
tours.
your Reagan.
Oh,
Jason-
God.
Jelly beans.
Jason is Mr. Reagan.
Yeah.
You have a Reagan?
Ladies and gentlemen, do I
Ladies
have a
and
Reagan?
gentlemen. I was doing George Bush.
Yeah.
George Bush hands.
Not gonna
SNL,
do it.
SNL child.
I can only do Dana
All my
Carvey
impressions
doing.
are from Dana Carvey.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking, Dana Carvey has the best Paul. Absolutely, like
He
hands down.
absolutely does, yeah.
Dana
There's-
he's the best. He's the best.
He is the best. I'm glad that Dana Carvey's got a little resurgence going here with this podcast of his. It's funny.
He's amazing.
And they had
really is
had
the
Paul
best
on there. You should listen to that if you haven't. It's
It's
great.
Paul
It's a
and
great
Paul.
episode because he's doing Paul to Paul.
Was
And
was
David
Paul
Spade is
into
loving
it?
it?
I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, as much as Paul can be into anything, he can barely move his face, so he can't laugh anymore because he's got so much work. But yeah,
Well, at least
he's
his
into
hair
it.
color is normal.
I'm happy about
know
that.
what I
I'm
mean?
happy he
Like,
dropped
that's a win.
I got
That's
the
a
Kennedy era. We're gonna listen to the. I
Oh.
can't do Kennedy era. That's all I know.
We've got a band called the Beatles. I don't even know.
Did we just
I'm gonna leave this to you guys.
any Kennedy?
Era. That's all I have. Era. We're gonna
Ask
go to the
not-
moon. Era. I don't know. I can't do Kennedy.
Ask
Don't put me on
not
the
what
spot.
your country can do for
Can I
you.
do Kennedy from MTV News?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I love Trump. Is that?
That's her thing.
Oh.
That's a cut. Like we're gonna start making cuts. It's just Sam saying, "I love Trump."
Oh
I
yeah.
love Trump.
Yes. Let's
I love
isolate
Trump."
that and spread that all around the internet, please.
Yeah, I gotta go, guys.
Maybe we
This is
can.
live.
We're trying. Yeah, exactly. We're trying to go viral, Mary.
Oh,
That was
oh,
so.
okay,
For the
okay,
record,
I
that was
got it.
Kennedy from MTV News, my
Yeah,
favorite
exactly.
news reporter,
Exactly.
and political.
Making a statement
Person.
which Sam agrees with completely. Yeah.
Is that actually true, or am I spreading fake news for Kennedy?
I
no, she's
know.
total Republican.
She is.
Yeah.
I only heard
forgot.
that from you.
I forgot.
I know that. Yeah.
Block that out.
Chris Farley, Paul McCartney interview on SNL.
Oh, yeah, of
that's
course.
that's all-time greatest.
Remember when you were in the Beatles?
Remember that one time
Yeah.
when you were like, in the end, the
love you
it's like to the love you take.
That's another great episode on the Dana Carvey.
Is that true?
podcast.
Oh,
I love that. I love that so much. And it is true. And as Tim says, Paul died in 1966. So
Yes, we have Paul McCartney.
there's
we
a
could only be so lucky.
well. So gosh, speaking of Paul, Mary's got one more thing we want to show off. Paul,
Yeah, I brought it's
the
here
lyrics.
on the table.
there it is.
Yeah, and actually here we'll open it. We can open up that version so you can see the color on now and then too. I haven't even opened it, so you do it. I'm gonna let Sam open up my
Every time I leave, I
7-inch.
get.
Yeah, I just picked up this the lyrics, the Paul McCartney book. I was gonna gift it to Sam because I know how much he loves Paul, but you know,
Yeah,
it's
no.
not happening now.
Paul
It's
said,
not happening
"Don't
now.
give him that book."
Yeah, so it's
I'm just over here pretending I have fingernails.
1956 to the present, and this is the paperback version. The first few pages are really, yep, exactly. Where I was like, oh, I'm getting a paperback. Oh. His introduction is really fun, and then this is by Paul Muldoon, who's a poet, actually. So, and it's 2020. It's like the fall of, it's the spring and fall of 2020. So I was
Oh, it's
like,
the same. It's the same blue. They
it's
phoned this one
A
in.
little bit
Marblier.
Marblier.
Okay.
Yes. Yours is a little bit more solid, but that's the Beatles D2C version.
You know you're a big shot in the record industry when it says "Hold for Mary."
Keep hitting this thing. Sorry.
That's what happens when I call
Hold for
Zia. They say,
Mary.
"Hold for
Hold
Mary."
for Mary.
I'm very lucky and blessed in that way that I've made people insane by talking to the Beatles all the time to
Yeah.
them, to everyone
They
I've
just
met
know
in
if
some
anything
way.
Beatles comes
Yep.
in.
I'm on that hotline too. So
Oh
You're
yeah.
gonna
next
need to
call,
get.
guys. We'll have them. I'll tap you into that Capitol presentation on the next one,
That sounds incredible.
which I'm hoping.
My
won't happen.
personal mission is to get on. Have you ever listened? Do either of you have the Sirius XM thing?
No, but I know about the Beatles
'Cause they
station.
got the
I
Beatles
used to have
channel.
it, and I think it's one of the coolest things.
Yeah, and they have like the Beatles Roundtable, which those guys. Oh, hold it up to the light. What am I holding up to the light? The record?
The
itself.
record.
Okay.
Hold it up to the light, Sam.
Hold it up to the light. Follow the light.
Ooh, is that a
Wait, what's the
is that a
rep
Lord of
for?
the Rings thing? And you hear Mary while on Hold It, Zia?
Here.
Oh, Tim just
I'm holding up
got
to
it. Oh, a little bit.
These lights are just so bright.
Yeah, I'm the hold. When you call Zia and you get put on hold, you hear me talking.
Oh, cool.
So hold for Mary
gonna
was
try that.
actually he got a real vortex there.
That's incredible. That's.
Are you guys still in that same
I gotta
Anyway.
ask about.
building over
Yes.
there on 16th Street or whatever?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Beautiful
hold.
landscaping.
So they not only.
yeah, that's one word for it.
So it's not only these. It's not just Beatles lyrics.
So
It's also it's all his lyrics.
It's just McCartney lyrics, and so I was like, "This is so." It's 2020, and it's like the only time he ever like sat down, I think, for more than a month and had the time to do it. So it's only Paul McCartney written songs, or that he was included with. So it's Wings, solo.
Oh.
It's everything up until now.
This is
So-
that's really cool.
It's pretty fun. It's got some cool things.
Does he
and-
tell little stories about each track
yeah,
too?
each one. One of my favorite books, which I'm thinking you probably have, is the Beatles lyrics books.
Yeah.
Like each story, like that. That for
love
me
that.
was like that's one of my all-time favorite books because it really got me connected to each one. I'd already liked everything, but knowing the stories for each song is nerdy and wonderful.
When you read it, do you read it in Paul's voice?
I might have.
It's
There's
I'm
a-
upset. I'm upset though because it goes straight from me to you to get back. There's no
Well, it's
fa
alphabet.
you.
Oh, you're right.
So maybe it was before that came out though, because it's
No,
from 2020.
no.
When
Fa
did
you?
fa? I just wanna fa you.
I thought it was
Gosh.
before that, but anyway, so he
God,
writes
what
the.
is he doing? What is
He's
he
having
doing?
fun.
That is one of the worst things I've ever heard of the Fa You.
That was
So,
a really bad song, but this is super cool because one, Paul Muldoon is really cool, and I've heard
Yeah.
Paul Muldoon before, but also
Oh,
Paul is a great lyricist when he's on. He's on.
yeah. He said, the quote about this book is that he didn't ever write a diary, but he has his songs, and so
Yeah,
he put together the songs, and then the introduction is one of the best written things and it totally like his
Ringo wrote
voice.
it?
His
Oh, he wrote it.
Paul's voice is in my head
Yeah.
when I'm reading that for sure. And then there's a secondary introduction from Paul Muldoon, and the first paragraph is really funny because he said, "It's 2020 and I get a call from Donald Trump." So you guys could do your Trump.
Jason's got a great
accents
one.
pretty-
Wait, but what's he
or-
say?
He says, "I get a call from Trump saying, 'Do you want to be my poet supremo?'"
Good
And it
God.
turns out to be Paul McCartney doing his Trump impression, asking him to be his poet supremo. So you guys could really try it on that.
To
If you
try
wanna
to do
like
Paul's-
double,
I don't think I can.
impersonations.
I can't do that.
You can't get down.
I can't do Paul doing Trump.
Yeah,
I could do
so-
one or the other.
Let's do
but
Dana Carvey
Oh.
doing Paul doing Trump. Can we do that? Can we make that happen?
Hey, if you're listening,
Singing
Dana
chopped
Carvey,
broccoli.
please call and leave a message as Paul McCartney impersonating Donald Trump.
Oh my god!
Now I'm
yes.
thinking we have to get Mike Myers and Dana Carvey on here to talk Beatles.
Mike.
and Mary P. Obviously.
Get in,
Oh my
hon.
goodness.
Get in on here.
I can't
Mike
wait.
Myers, Dana Carvey.
We've got the Myers. Yeah, we want the Myers brothers in here.
We got to
That
get
would
in
be
on
amazing.
Yeah, this is really
They're from
this is great.
Liverpool.
that. I once
As you
heard
know.
Mike Myers say, "I will talk to anybody about the Beatles." So,
Yeah.
Well,
dude, here we are. Here we are.
I keep looking for
And-
Monkberry Moon Delight. I haven't found it
Is
yet.
that not in there
It's a
yet?
great song.
That's a. I think Tim said something that he just pretends that he's hanging out with me while he's listening to me on hold, which is
Yeah.
Mole of
sweet.
Kintyre,
We'll hang out.
Mole of
I just heard that. I heard that
Kintyre.
yesterday. They were playing. It was actually a cool idea on the Beatles channel. They were playing songs back to back that were either a John response to a Paul song, or vice versa,
Oh.
or a John Paul's response to like a world event.
Yeah.
And so they played Mull of Kintyre and Luck of the Irish together because those were both about how the UK sucks.
That's
Britain.
Oh,
cool.
Paul.
That's like
Mag-
Beatles trivia level.
Yeah.
2000.
Yeah,
That's
it was a good
awesome.
show. They played a bunch of cool stuff on that.
You should have those guys on here and then just.
Well, that's what I was
Round-
gonna say. Is
you
I
have your
that's,
round
yeah I
table
want
here.
I want Jason and I to, and we'll bring you two to be on that
Thanks.
show,
Thanks, bud.
and we'll bring Dana Carvey and Mike Myers.
And I'll bring my entire book
gonna be a very
collection
big
with
round
me
table.
and all of my records.
We need
Be
more
like,
props.
I'm
We always need props.
I'm just reading about Magneto now.
And I'll bring the rest of my pants next time.
Oh, good. I'll roll down mine.
Yeah.
Mary.
Let's get back to where'd our chat go?
Oh, sorry.
I just want to make sure
Yeah,
we're
chat.
not ignoring Tim.
While doing
that's,
transfers, I pretend
my
I'm.
Barry isn't world customer service reply.
Oh yeah, yeah. We get that often here at a
Yeah.
hello. A poorly
Yeah.
squashed marble or a swirl.
I couldn't help but notice the 7-inch got delivered completely destroyed. Yeah, no, that doesn't ever happen.
Final in 2023.
I wonder if
shipping,
the Spindle Dudes are
colors.
gonna do an episode on Now and Then.
If we can
Let
get
me
them,
do.
I mean that'd be fantastic for them to do the now and then. Well, we might have to throw that out as a suggestion.
They could do the original "Love Me Do" single. Because what's the B-side on "Love Me Do"? On the original. Because I can't remember.
I don't know actually.
Is it "Please Please Me" and "Love Me
I
Do"?
feel like I should know that. Yeah, I think it is Please Please Me actually.
That's a good spindle. They
That's
can
a
do
good-
the first single.
That's a good trivia question. The B-sides.
Then we're having Beatles trivia, and we're inviting the Myers brothers, the Roundhouse guys, or the Round Table guys.
I gotta brush
Yeah,
up
and
on
we're
my
gonna get the
7-inch
Roundhouse
B-sides.
guys in here too. Whoever
They'll do the martial arts. I don't know.
martial arts. That's what I'm gonna start doing. I'm gonna
Oh,
start
no,
a
Roundtable.
it was
Beatles.
P.S. I Love You.
P.S.
Oh,
Sorry.
well, it's a very, very, very good one.
You.
Yeah.
Well,
Please 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 was,
We've picked up the
was a
same
single,
brain.
right? Wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. But P.S. I Love You. Oh,
That man. Please Please Me is a good album.
yeah.
I don't care what anybody says.
You guys remember Hoodlums? And
Yes, I
Steve,
do.
Of course.
I was also there 20 years ago.
It was
couple-
20 years ago today.
Yeah.
I remember being Steve Wiley, the best, told me once to pick out a record. He's like, play some Beatles for the in-store play because I worked there for a hot minute, and I picked Please Please Me. And he's like, I would have totally picked you for Sgt. Pepper. And I just remember being like, this, I like to play that. I used to do this quite often and try to like psychologically profile you on which of the Beatles was your favorite or what era you were in your
Yeah.
life. And so it's always funny too when you think about like, hey, what are you, I don't know if you guys do this to people, but I've always done it. Be like,
Judge
Let
people
me-
based on their
let me-
Beatles.
let me just size you up and guess
Yeah.
that this is your favorite album and this is your favorite song and this is your favorite Beatle. But
There's Bob VP.
Bob
Yeah,
VP.
no, I
Yeah,
Bob VP, please drop in your favorite Beatle in the comments
When I was
section.
li-
We appreciate it.
when I was listening to
He's gonna say the Who.
that, yeah, when I referenced that moment yesterday when I was like, "Do I hate the Beatles? Am I over the Beatles?" I was listening to Sgt. Pepper, the song,
Yeah.
and I was just thinking, this song's kind of dumb. I don't know.
My, you know,
I love the album. It's just
yeah.
kind of a dumb song, but I get it. It's an intro. And it's
There's-
cool that Ringo gets such good placement on that one.
Yeah, I mean that's the big. Yeah, that's
Billy-
Octopus's
I'm sorry, Billy
Garden.
Shears.
and-
Yeah.
As Bill Hicks, the comedian,
Shears.
said, the Beatles were so high they let Ringo sing a few songs.
I don't even know. I'm R.I.P. Bill Hicks. I love that.
Yep.
Yeah. Record or individual Beatle? Bob, please provide both, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's how you size people up, right? Both. Era.
You
and
need both.
Beatle.
You need both. Yeah.
Who are
Era.
you on right
It's like
now?
a parlor
Era,
trick.
Era. So what's? I mean, mine changes constantly.
Right,
Well, maybe
that's what
not
I'm saying.
constantly, but
It's kind of like Tyler, like you're in your Taylor Swift Eras tour. and
yes.
It's like, are you in
which
your
I'm
Georgia?
currently in right now.
Wait, so
Are you
I wanna
in
hear-
your
to close
Georgia?
to wrap up, should we do
I have an idea for the Beatles.
let's
I want Sgt. Pepper Taylor's version. I want her to re-record all the Beatles records.
I thought you were going to say Ringo's version, but
Oh my God! Can you even imagine that? Can you
Where-
even imagine
all
having-
Ringo vocals,
Yes.
everything.
Oh my
Boy,
boy.
I'm curious
Somebody,
if
sorry, I just have to. This is just a Ringo thing. I just heard because I haven't been Surprise, 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 surprise. Haven't been keeping up on my Ringo records, but he heard somebody at a show say the phrase "peace dream," and he wrote a song about it. Now say that a little bit faster, and then make that the chorus of your song.
Peace
And
dream.
And then
The
it's
entire
peace dream.
song is like, "Last night I had a peace dream." I heard that for the first time yesterday. I'm like, Ringo, what are you doing? And why is Joe Walsh still here?
You know what my favorite thing about that is that Ringo is very involved in the transcendental meditation community.
He
He's
is.
big on that.
Well, that's
Paul likes it too, I think. I even picked up on he talked about Maharishi for a second in this. But so my favorite thing to imagine is Ringo
Nice one.
on the phone with yeah. My favorite thing to imagine is Ringo on the phone with David Lynch just talking, you know.
I would love to. Yeah, I would
Can you
love
just
them to
ima-
interview each other.
I would love
I'm sure that exists. They must
do
somewhere.
like that
That's
interview
somewhere.
where it's Harry Dean Stanton and
Yeah.
and Lynch, but just have it be Ringo, you know. How do you want to be remembered when you die? Ringo's like, nothing. I don't want to be. But no, I would love to
Peace Stream on my
play
funeral.
Peace Stream. Good
Peace
Lord.
Stream.
Peace Stream.
That's now being used for like a urology medical
Yeah.
pill.
It's a
commercial.
website, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Peacestream.com.
So Anita picks George and has no idea on the record.
She doesn't like the Beatles. Isn't that weird?
George suits her very well though. That makes see. I mean,
Yeah.
Quiet one.
Yeah.
psh, yeah, tough.
George was my favorite one for a while until I saw Get Back.
And then
And then I was
Then
like,
it's
it's
over to John.
back to John. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
It's never Paul.
And how about your how about your album, Sam?
Well, right now
Cur-
it's Let
current.
It Be.
Let It Be.
Previously to Let It Be, it was.
Oh, you did say that earlier.
It was the White Album.
Mm.
So those two are very,
Let It Be
very, very
Naked.
close at always.
And then just for fun,
And my runner-up is Revolver.
Revolver's your runner-up,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
for fun and don't overthink it. Favorite solo Beatles project right
Oh,
now.
it's so easy. I mean, well, it's for Paul, it's Ram. For Ringo, it's Buku Blues.
Oh, that's a good one.
For John, it's Plastic Ono Band. And for George, it's All Things Must Pass.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, we're very
I mean, that's
close
so
in ours.
easy.
Yeah.
All right, Mary.
Very close.
Because those
in
are
ours.
basically all Beatles songs.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
So-
And it's all at the front
Yeah.
of it. Yeah. Paul, I love Ram, of course. I love McCartney too, and I also like New. I know.
Oh yeah, that
you
one's.
might not
News,
be
no,
a-
News pretty good. News
New
actually a
is-
great song.
I
That's-
like
even
Chaos
though
and
it's that
Creation in the
same-
I know.
Backyard too. That song Fine Line a lot.
I had a
But Flaming Pie.
Oh,
is-
that's a great one.
I
Flaming
had
Pie
a
is
huge
very good.
obsession with Chaos and Creation in 2006 or whenever that came out.
That's
I
a
really
fun one.
really like that. He did that one with
Niles.
Niles.
Wait, no.
Goodrich. Niles
Niles Goodrich from
Goodrich
from Radiohead crew.
Right.
Apparently,
Right.
apparently he was too. He didn't let Paul do.
He was a little pushy.
He was a little
There's a
pushy.
little documentary, like a mini doc
Paul
on
didn't get
that.
to just do whatever Paul wants.
That's a good thing. That's
I
what he
agree.
needs.
I agree.
That's
But
what,
Well, that's why it's good, is
yeah.
because Paul actually plays everything on that record.
Yep.
Except
Yeah,
for the
same
strings.
with Flaming Pie, really. I mean,
Yeah, Flaming
well,
Pie's
Jeff
good, too.
Lynne's on it, of course. Jeff Lynne, Ringo's on Flaming Pie.
Yeah.
But Chaos has Jenny Wren, right?
Yep.
And
It's a
Jenny
really
Wren
good one.
is
So
one
good.
of the best written songs,
That's
just
his
period.
That's his Blackbird
okay, we got
part 2.
Yeah.
Bob's thinking Revolver.
Revolver.
Mr. Cave Springs thinking John and Revolver. Linda is his fave solo. Oh, Linda's great, of course.
Aw,
Linda.
Linda
Don't want to
forever.
be. I don't want to say Paul because he's a little obnoxious to me, but sometimes the man knows how to write a song. I agree, and Ringo's vibe is the
No,
best.
I mean,
Okay.
obviously, I love Paul.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Despite the
But
fact
he
that
A
you keep saying
gigantic-
that you hate
Yeah,
him.
Anita asked me the other day, how can you hate Paul and love the Beatles so much? And it's like,
You
most
know it's a-
people should know how I can do that. It's so easy to do that.
Don't you just get it?
That's pretty normal.
Also,
actually.
hate and love. You know, they're
Same coin.
they're tied. They're connected. So
Hate is a strong word, as some emo band said or pop punk band or something said in the early 2000s. Hate is a strong word, but I really, really don't like Paul.
Well, I think it's like a nemesis factor.
He's just so annoying.
I
He's
suppose.
just so like he's just like a he's like a I don't even know.
my thing with
Everyone
him,
knows what I'm talking about.
the thing that,
talking about?
I mean,
the thing that annoys me about him and current day
Besides
is
his face.
is just that he just
Love
is
him.
so invested in reminding everybody that the Beatles were a really good band.
I just don't think he's
and
ever
I know
genuine.
They are, of course. And if I were in the Beatles, I would never shut up about the fact that I had been in the Beatles. So I can't blame him.
I think he's a spokesperson. He is the ambassador of that music.
As long
and
as he doesn't tell gross, weird stories
Right. Yeah.
about
See, that's-
about
I
their
actually,
their
I
little.
actually thought that was great. That was like one moment where I was like, oh, Paul's actually being normal for 1 second.
I think we talked about this the last time. Like, can you imagine something organic coming out right now? How great that would be. It's just like,
Yeah,
Right.
That's
where,
my
like,
point with Paul.
go hang out with Dave Grohl, have some beers and some barbecue, and
Yeah.
have Violet sing songs with
Yeah.
you guys, and make a record that's just being musicians and hanging out.
Could you picture
would be wonderful.
if Paul just came out and he was just like 100% honest, and he was just like, yeah, a lot of times John was like a real pain in my ass. We didn't get along a lot of the time.
In
They
the
were
first
pretty-
portion
he
of that,
does-
he
he-
does.
They were
Yeah,
pretty
that's
honest.
good.
About
They were
it.
all pretty honest in
know.
the early days, so I want more of that when they were just kind of talking twash.
He talks about the blizzard story. Do you know that story about them on tour during a blizzard at the beginning?
Was that the night the music died?
It's almost when the music
Yeah.
almost died. I didn't know.
No,
that
I don't think I know that story, actually.
I guess it was early Beatles, of course.
It's
all four
probably
of
fake.
them.
We probably made it up.
Maybe we'll see. But it's an interesting story
Are
about
there
them.
blizzards in Hamburg?
They were on tour, yeah, and there was a blizzard, and they had their roadie who they don't mention, so it might be fake if they don't mention the name.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they slide off the road.
This is
and
100% fake.
they slide off the road.
Never happened. Nope.
I'm not telling it.
Pull up that clip. Nope, never happened. Absolutely false.
And
We're
they
pulling your leg.
survived. So yet another car accident. Where
Yeah.
it could be a different Paul, because maybe we're on the third Paul.
I think that maybe happened to Wings. On the Wings Across America tour. That sounds way more likely.
He was just talking about how bad those first Wings experiences were too. I just was watching an interview about that.
And because people kept comparing them unfavorably to the Beatles. Yeah,
and
that's
how
such a
awful
goofy.
the crowds were, and like
Oh,
the
yeah.
experience was, and
People weren't nice
Anyway.
to Linda either. Same as they
No.
weren't nice to Yoko, but for similar reasons,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah,
Oh,
and just, I mean, to reiterate, I love Linda so much. I love Linda
she's
so much
incredible.
more than Paul, like as a person.
yeah, she's incredible. Did you get to go to Tucson and see the exhibit?
No, I missed it. Is it still? It's not still happening, is it?
No, I got to see it in June, and it is legitimately one of the most beautiful things I've ever experienced. It's really well done, and it's feels very at home there, because obviously she was at home there. And they
Right.
have a whole section of her mentors that kind of opens and is a part of it too, which I thought was really cool. And
That's
the
really
Center
cool.
for Photography there is one of the most, lauded, and has been there for a long time.
Yeah, I
set
don't
up
go-
by
I don't
her
go to Tucson.
mentor and Ansel Adams, actually. So.
It's like Paul McCartney, Tucson.
Oh, I see it now. I see why you don't do this. Yeah.
I do
Just
love-
for fear of running into him and being like, "What up?"
Linda's photos are so good. She's
Oh, they
such a
are.
great photographer.
Anyway, just
Wait.
a side note: if it does come back, where you have an opportunity, go.
So wait, so you shared your Beatles solos. Who's your overall Beatle? It's Paul, you said.
I mean, Paul. I love Paul. I don't hate him like this guy hates him.
It's okay.
But I am thoroughly annoyed by the fakeness, though, that you can see sometimes, and it's just like, come on, dude, loosen up. Like,
Yeah.
let's, like, come on.
I think
come on.
that's the main. You're right, Mary. That's the key right there.
like-
Loosen up.
Yeah.
You're Paul McCartney.
Like, he can do whatever he does.
What do you have to prove? What do you have to?
In my head, though, he's kind
You're
of like
Paul.
he's like an archetypal. I don't want to say boomer in like a bad way, but like he's got like those manners, I guess, that keep him in a line. Of
Yeah, and
some
also
sort.
make sure that he never lets go of all of the money that his generation has accumulated. This
I
is
was
still all
thinking-
of ours.
I was thinking about that, about the money thing when you were talking earlier. It's like, why are they doing this? And I'm like, there's money involved all the time, which is also really like horrible aspect of this. And I
Sure.
don't know where the money's going. But then I was like,
Where's
well,
the
I hope
money,
he's
Paul?
Giving it away to a registered charity.
Ah. Wait, when you said "Where's the money, Paul"? Was that a Big Lebowski reference?
Yeah, probably. Where's the money, Lebowski?
Where's the money, Lebowski?
Anyway.
No, you're definitely right, Mary. The money thing about it is, and it's also weird because it's like the Rolling Stones too. Like they're still out on tour, and it's like, well, they make a lot of they make a lot of money. That was our warning. We get one more time to talk about the Rolling
2
Stones
minutes.
before we
2
get fired.
minutes.
No, like, but it's like, how much money could you need?
You
Do you
don't,
need
yeah.
more?
I mean,
Could you possibly need more? But at the
Yeah.
same time,
I mean,
it's out there.
yeah. I will say that George is probably my favorite, though. I mean, I love Paul, but George is,
I love George.
George
George
is-
is the coolest looking Beatle,
well,
like without a doubt.
I think spiritually speaking, like I've never, he's the first musician that opened up different worlds to many, many people, and I had zero clue about anything,
Yeah.
any kind of religion
Yeah.
in that way, that like meditation and opening yourself up to different worlds.
I
And
mean,
that's
no joke.
and that's been a huge influence when I look back at that. Beatles, George, and India are like Beastie Boys and Tibet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very similar.
And the White Album
So-
came out of that trip, which is so
Right.
cool. So
And to think-
I mean, thank you, George,
Yeah.
for forcing them all
Se-
to go.
Sexy Sadie, originally Maharishi, is the
Right.
That's a
Well,
great
that-
demo.
Dear Prudence, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean,
Come
I love
on.
all that. And the other thing that I love so much about George, and I might even have said this the last time we were on, was I like that he's the spiritual, quiet, expansive Beatle. I like that that's like his element, but he's also the grumpiest
Oh,
one
he's the
and like
rager.
the most like to me that just makes him that much more human, that he's like
Correct.
he's both
Yeah.
deeply spiritual and seeking enlightenment, and
He's working on
also
it.
he's like really pissed about having to pay taxes. You know, like
Yeah.
it's like I get it, because you're like, wow, this is like a human. This is a dude.
He's a whole human,
person. He's a whole
yeah.
person.
Yeah. And I think Rubber Soul Revolver, George Harrison said he considers that one album, so I'm going to do a twofer and say, yeah.
That's
I
that's a
agree.
good one. That's a good one.
That's a
That's
favorite.
that's
That's a
another good
favorite.
packaging idea too. Let's start packaging the old school like CDs, the
Twofers.
movies. You get the
Yeah.
twofers.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's
yeah.
do that for Beatles records.
And you can fit like 18 tracks on a CD, 21 tracks, something like that. So you could probably get it even just on one disc.
Yeah, or let's just start rearranging track lists on albums.
That's
and
what they
reissuing
did.
those.
We
Yeah.
can do that.
Let's just do that.
We
On
can
let's
just start moving things around.
yeah.
John kissed Jerry Lee Lewis's foot, apparently.
Hmm.
Weird dude. Gotta love him. I agree.
I have the
Oh, kind of
biggest-
like a I'm not worthy. I'm gonna kiss your feet sort of a deal.
I guess if I had to kiss the feet of any Beatle, I would kiss. No, I'm trying to.
question.
I'm trying to think of my favorite. I'm trying to think of my favorite Beatle. I guess right now, I gotta say George. George remains my favorite. My favorite Beatle.
Yeah, to me, you've always been a George, so.
Yeah, because I
Sound
get
good.
annoying.
Didn't one of your band members once say you were the Paul McCartney of the band?
Yeah,
Oh, I can
and
get
he was the
that.
John.
You're the Paul McCartney of your pop punk Christian pop punk band or something.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I can get that.
Yeah.
I've never been in a band, but I can totally pick up on that.
Yeah.
A band
I mean,
scenario.
the reason I love the reason that I like it's similar to George. I identify in some ways with Paul, but usually it's like I identify in ways that make me uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
myself. Like
Yep.
I see Paul, and I'm like, this guy.
Control.
He's a little too controlling. I don't love that, but I get it. And he also, though, to his credit, and Get Back really made this clear. If it weren't for him, the whole thing would have just fallen apart. Like he
Yeah.
was holding it together, and that is a skill, and that does require sometimes being the heavy or the annoying guy, being like, "What if we played the song again?"
Right.
Or whatever.
And Ringo emotionally holding them together.
Oh yeah, and that scene, of course,
So-
where he's playing piano and Ringo's listening to him. It's one of the sweetest things you've ever seen.
Yeah.
I could just listen to him play piano all day long. So, I guess George is my favorite, but I would say that I like Paul a lot. My favorite Revolver. My favorite solo one. I definitely like Buku of Blues. That's a really good one.
Nashville represent.
Plastic Ono Band, mind-blowing record. But I also... It's not my favorite, but sometimes I listen to rock and roll, and I'm kind of like, this is so
Rock
fun.
and roll's
Like, he's
really
just
fun.
having fun.
Yeah.
That would be like my dark horse favorite, just because it's like, to do a little Paul or a George reference. And then Paul, I mean, Ram's already been said, so I'll take Ram off the table, and I'll say Band on the Run by Wings is a freaking great album. Like, I love that album. It's so good. But McCartney too, also high in the mix. And then with George, I don't know if it counts.
McCartney too.
I like McCartney
Oh,
too
wow.
a lot. Oh yeah,
I mean,
temporary
I
secretary.
mean, I like it too,
and-
but I don't know if I'd put it that high.
oh, that one song,
pretty
the I need love. That song's so good.
So good you can't even remember it.
You know how it goes.
You know, the song is like blah, 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 blah.
It's got yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a ballad?
Yeah, it's a ballad.
That's
It's
what I
one of the
figured.
weird.
Bobby P agrees.
Yeah. Anyway, but then I would say for George, it doesn't count. But I'm just gonna go ahead and say that first Traveling Wilburys record.
Yeah,
I really
right.
like that
Yeah,
one.
that's a good
That's the
call.
only. He's the
That's
like.
a good call.
I kind of like that he and. Well, really, when
I
you
like
think
Extra
about
Texture.
I was gonna
extra
say
texture's
Extra
really
Texture.
good. Yeah. But when you think about it, they all managed to be in another like band.
Yeah.
Wings is that for Paul, Plastic Ono Band, and then sort of the Elephant's Memory guys who just became Plastic Ono Band, but
Yeah.
they're still
Yeah.
that's like a real band, not just like guys
and
backing
he
you
assembled
up.
a band in a lot of his sessions. He had,
Yeah,
like, Nicky
yeah.
Hopkins and Klaus and,
Yeah.
Oh, Klaus, of course.
and the drummer from Yes, Alan Stevens or something. What's that guy's name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alan White.
Alan White.
Alan White.
Yeah. And then Ringo has All-Star Band.
It's true.
But hasn't he also been in like another? Maybe I'm just making something
no,
up.
Paul had the Fireman.
Oh, the Fireman with Youth is kind of a weird. That's a
Yeah.
cool weird project. And then George, yeah, Traveling Wilburys, a whole other band with his buddies, all of whom were famous songwriters.
Oh yeah, I think I was just thinking about another George related thing, but I mean all the Monty Python stuff. You can kind of put that in a soundtrack.
Oh yeah, it's good. That's good. And also the last one was it Cloud
Cloud Nine.
Cloud Nine?
Nine.
Chris just gave me that on
Cloud
cassette.
Nine.
Dude, Cloud
Oh, that's a
Nine.
perfect one on cassette.
When you go back and revisit Cloud Nine, you're like, whoa, this is really good. There's some really good songs on it.
Jeff
So-
Lynne.
Oh, Mind Games, John Lennon. I'm
Games
gonna
is
go
great.
with Mind Games.
That's my favorite album cover by John, probably.
Well, guys, maybe we should make a playlist to go along with this one
Ooh.
that features every song we mentioned. How would that even be possible?
Let's just put
Yeah.
the Red and Blue album on a playlist
There we go.
Put
together.
in the
and
order
then-
we want.
But in the order we want them.
Yeah. And let's take Old Brown Shoe off.
Mary,
I can't believe you hate that. Though.
I don't actually hate that. I actually like it. I just don't like the
You're
mix.
wearing old brown shoes.
Do you-
Both
do you
are-
like-
they're
do you guys
literally
like
No,
that
both
we're
I
brown.
both
just don't like
wearing-
the new mix.
we're both wearing brown shoes. Mine aren't that old, but they're a little old. Had them for a while. Mary, what's do you got anything you want to plug? What's new? What's happening? What's shaking?
Oh, just doing the all kinds of fun things, I guess, in the season. It's beautiful in Phoenix, so there's festivals like every weekend and events and stuff. So,
How about Black
on the-
Friday?
on
Any
the Zia stuff.
any rockin' Black Friday stuff happening?
Oh yeah, some cool things over at all of the locations.
Nice.
Sales mostly. You can check out at ziarecords.com for all the details, or at ziarecords.com, and then on socials at Zia Records. I don't want to bore you with too many details right now, but there's a lot of cool stuff, and there's a new location now that is amazing
Oh, yeah, I haven't
that
been there
Tim
yet.
Nielsen works at.
I like the
35th
mural
Ave.
that dude did.
It's Tanner Christensen. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's
cool.
beautiful.
I love the location. It's
beautiful.
now granted I have my own like take on everything,
Sure.
but it feels to me like the Vegas locations, but like here, and it's very cool.
A
It's
good
very cool.
combination. It's got clean floors.
It's
Yeah,
so
that's
nice and spacious. And when I went in there a couple weeks ago, even pre grand opening stuff, it was bumping. People
Yeah.
were there.
There's a
There were a
lot of
lot of
people showing
people.
up.
It's on
Yeah.
Indian School still.
It's on 35th Ave in Bethany Home.
Oh, that's right.
Mhm.
So it's nice. It's a new neighborhood, and it's really pretty. And it's, yeah. I
right
love
there
that
in a
store. So,
busy parking lot with a Walmart. It's
yeah, it's wild. There's
it's
lots
wild.
of food options there. So it's
great stuff.
We'll be doing Small Business Saturday. So New Zia merch on that weekend, which is always a fun thing. You guys do good merch. You're familiar with merch.
A little bit. Dabble.
He's
So
heard
lots
of
of
it.
good merch.
Dabble
and
in
then, yeah, so all the fun things. There's Giving Tuesday coming up, which is always one of my things because you know how much I love how we do donations and things. So that's coming up, and we'll match everything that people donate at the stores on that day. So
That's
I'll
awesome.
plug that.
Mr. Cave Spring wants P Stream on the playlist, so we got to make sure that
Ooh.
happens.
Just gonna be P Stream like
P Stream.
a bunch
I
of
feel like
bunch
we
of
could
times.
we could probably play us out
That's
with P
right.
Stream, right?
Let's play a little of P Stream on
'Cause
our
if
way
we-
out. I was gonna say the only reason that YouTube would boot this one off would just be that they got annoyed by us or something, because we haven't played any. These last few times, Mary, we've been getting hit with some heavy
I
copyright
heard.
restrictions.
Yeah, you can stop. You know,
They go
playing
away.
Full Beatles songs.
We got to talk over it a little bit. That's enough. That's enough. That's all you really need.
It
Besides love.
legitimately is like a urology.
It
Yeah.
is like,
medical
yeah.
Commercial.
And this is from the album Why Not? The letter Y, not. No question mark.
He's fun.
If you want to tell us your favorite Beatles song, call the hotline. Call the
I'm
hotline
gonna hear
and
it.
Call it up.
give us a ring. I don't have anything else that would be fun to put on here.
Let's show the control panel and see if anyone's working there.
This? Let's see. Let's check in.
Oh.
Oh, nope.
Oh, we're
Jenny,
not.
nobody's not there.
We're not being monitored right now.
Nope.
Damn it. It's okay.
Call the hotline.
It's okay.
Just
Just
call
call
it.
us
Get
if
the
you know
word.
where Jenny's at. Give us a ring. Cool, Mary. Thank you so
Jenny.
much for hanging out with
Thank
us
you guys. That was
and
fun.
for bringing so much Beatles goodies and
Yeah, I
and
love a
getting.
good show and tell.
It was
Yes,
extremely.
the props always help.
Yeah.
They
love
do, for at least for us and for those of you out there. There you go, Paul McCartney.
it. Did we
the
show
book.
this poster? I can't remember.
Yeah, let's show.
So this is the connection. This is posters that they sent out to a bunch of record stores for the red and blue. So we've got the blue, old
beautiful.
school, and then the red. And now Sam connected it for everyone on that photo. What's that day called again? With this
Mad
photo
Day
shoot?
Out.
The Mad Day Out. So
The last Beatles session. And look at the old school Beatles logo there.
Yeah.
Before they really solidified it. You can't see it, people, but
it's
hey.
not the Beatles typical Beatles font there.
Nope.
So anyway, so
Pre-Beatles
props.
font.
So props to you guys.
great acoustic guitars in this photo, though. I gotta say.
Thank you guys. for
Mary, it's
having me.
always so much fun having you. You're the best, and
Thank
we'll
you
do this
guys.
again. And we'll be back with the
Peace and
Yellow
love.
Submarine
Peace and love.
Peace and
remaster.
Okay. That's enough of that.
Oh my
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Peace and love. Peace and love. Peace and